There is a silent game we all play, the game of trying to appear whole. We spend years attempting to mend the cracked parts of the soul, polishing the mask we show to the world, believing we'll only be worthy once we're finally healed. But Alan Watts used to say that life is not a process of perfection, but of revelation, and what pain reveals is what has always been hidden beneath the surface, the true self, stripped of the illusions of control. Observe a seed. On the outside, it looks solid, impenetrable, but for life to awaken within it, it must break open. The same happens to us. The universe, in its strange wisdom, chooses precisely those who have been broken, because they are the only ones through whom the light can enter. Perhaps you've gone through this, the collapse, the loss, the crumbling of everything you thought you were, and in that moment, something in you died. But along with that death, something new was born, a listening, a new sensitivity, a presence that once slept. That's what this video is about, the mystery of those whom the universe chooses, not in spite of their damage, but because of it. For the universe doesn't need perfect people. It needs cracked vessels, open enough for the flow to pass through. And perhaps, my friend, you are one of them. Chapter 1. The Paradox of the Damaged, where the light enters. There's a quiet beauty in imperfect things. The cracked vase, the chipped glass, the voice that trembles when it tries to sing. There's something deeply human in these details. Alan Watts said that perfection is an illusion created by a mind afraid of flow. The universe, on the other hand, isn't interested in flawless surfaces, but in openings through which it can breathe. And that's what cracks do. They make way. The man who believes himself complete is like a sealed container. He lives full of himself, unable to receive the new, impermeable to grace. But the damaged man carries fissures through which existence can enter. Those openings, painful and real, become doors to mystery. That's why the universe doesn't move toward the invulnerable, it moves toward the broken, for the broken are malleable. When you break, something shifts inside. Certainties give way, hardened truths soften, and in the space between who you were and who you are becoming, something sacred seeps in. That's why Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." The wound is the portal, and suffering is the messenger announcing the possibility of a new birth. But there's a common misunderstanding, mistaking damage for destruction. To be damaged is not to be useless. A glass with a crack can still hold water. A marked soul can still hold love, perhaps even more, because love born of damage is more compassionate, more aware of human fragility. Here lies the paradox. The more you try to protect yourself, the further you move from life. The more you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the more space you create for the universe to move through you. Light needs only a slit, a small gesture of surrender, a silent acceptance of what is. It is there, in that place where you believe you've failed, that the universe begins to work. Chapter 2. The Calling of Those Who Face the Abyss. There is a strange kind of wisdom that can only be born in darkness. Those who have walked through the fire, who have stared into the void and returned trembling, carry a depth that cannot be learned from books or comfort. Alan Watts once said that the person who has never suffered remains shallow, like a lake that looks peaceful on the surface, but hides no depth below. Only through descent does one find the center. The universe has always chosen its messengers from among the broken. Moses stuttered, yet became a voice. David was dismissed, yet became a king. Paul was a destroyer, yet became a healer. Each of them, in their imperfection, became vessels for something greater. Not because they were flawless, but because they were open. Their wounds became the entry points of grace. When you have been shattered, life is no longer a theory. You stop pretending that you are in control, that plans will save you, that strength means never falling. You realize that falling is part of the dance. You begin to understand the ancient rhythm: collapse, surrender, awakening. The fall was never punishment, it was initiation. To look into your own abyss is terrifying because it strips away every illusion of self-sufficiency. But in that stripping away, you discover what you truly are. Not the mask, not the story, but awareness itself, vast, still, and untouchable. The abyss does not destroy you, it removes what you are not. And when you return from that depth, you no longer chase meaning, you embody it. You become a reminder to others that pain is not the end, but the beginning of truth. So if you've been to the edge and thought it was over, understand this. The universe has been calling you. It is not punishing you, it is preparing you, because only those who have fallen can teach the art of rising. Chapter 3. The wisdom of breaking when control dissolves. There comes a moment in every awakened life when control finally collapses, when no plan works, no effort holds, and the illusion of mastery disintegrates. To the unprepared, this feels like failure. But to the soul that has begun to awaken, this is liberation. Alan Watts often said that the more you try to control the waves, the more you drown. Life, like water, supports those who float. The damaged ones have learned this truth not through theory, but through surrender. They have fought the current, exhausted themselves, and discovered that the only way to survive is to stop struggling. Breaking is not the end of power, it is the beginning of real strength, because control is born from fear. Fear of chaos, fear of uncertainty, fear of death itself. When control dissolves, fear goes with it. In its place emerges something softer, trust. Trust in the intelligence of existence, in the current that has carried everything since the beginning of time. This is what the ancient Chinese called Wu Wei, effortless action. It is not passivity. It is the ability to act without forcing, to move with life instead of against it. And the broken person, stripped of illusion, becomes the perfect practitioner of Wu Wei. They no longer fight the flow, they become it. Consider how the seed cracks open. From the outside, it looks like destruction. But inside, a silent expansion is happening, roots pushing downward, a sprout reaching toward light. The breaking is not a tragedy, it's transformation disguised as loss. When you surrender control, you stop being the director of life and become its participant. You stop asking, how can I fix this? And start asking, what is life trying to show me? In that shift, anxiety turns into awareness. The tension of doing melts into the peace of being. And paradoxically, it's only then, when you no longer need to control, that you begin to move with true power. Because real power is not domination, it is alignment. So when life takes everything from your hands, don't fight, open them wider, let the river carry you. For the wisdom of breaking is the wisdom of trust, and the current has always known where it's going. Chapter 4. From pain to compassion, the heart that understands. When you have truly suffered, something irreversible happens inside you. The walls you built to protect yourself begin to soften. The judgments you once held dissolve. You stop asking why others are broken and start recognizing your own reflection in their cracks. Pain, if faced consciously, becomes the birthplace of compassion. Alan Watts once remarked that the ego is simply the effort to control experience. When life breaks that control, the ego fractures. And through those fractures, love seeps in. It is not the sentimental kind of love, nor the grandiose ideal we hear in songs. It's quieter, humbler, a recognition that we are all fragile, all doing our best to stay afloat in the same vast sea. The damaged heart no longer looks down on others. It kneels beside them. It listens instead of fixing, understands instead of advising. Because it knows, not intellectually, but viscerally, that everyone carries a story. Behind every cold face is a wound. Behind every act of cruelty is confusion. There's an old parable of a disciple who once told his teacher, "Master, I am too flawed to help anyone. I am anxious, addicted, full of doubt." And the master replied, "Good, these are your qualifications. For only the one who has walked through despair can guide another out of it. Only the one who has fallen knows how to reach a hand into the darkness without fear." This is the quiet revolution of compassion. It doesn't shout, it doesn't preach, it simply understands. The broken heart becomes an instrument, finely tuned, sensitive to the suffering of others, yet no longer overwhelmed by it. Because compassion is not pity, it is strength refined through tenderness. And when you live from this place, something remarkable happens. People feel safe around you. Not because you have all the answers, but because you no longer need to pretend. Your openness becomes their permission. Your vulnerability becomes their refuge. So if pain has cracked your heart open, don't rush to seal it. Let it stay open, trembling, alive. For that trembling is where love breathes. And in the trembling heart, the universe finds its gentlest voice. Chapter 5. The Secret of the Chosen, Transformation Through Rupture. There is a sacred pattern woven through every story of awakening. Before illumination comes rupture. Before the new self can emerge, the old one must break apart. The universe does not select the perfect, it selects the open. Those who have been shattered enough to make room for something greater. Alan Watts often said that the crack between what you are and what you think you should be is where the light enters. This is the secret of the chosen ones. Their power does not come from success, discipline, or certainty, but from surrender to the process of being undone. When a seed cracks open, the world might see death, but from within it is expansion. It is the beginning of life pressing outward. Likewise, when your identity fractures, when the person you thought you were collapses, something vast begins to breathe through you. The ego sees failure, the soul sees initiation. Transformation is never polite. It tears, it burns, it confuses. You lose the comfort of knowing who you are. But that loss is the invitation, because only when you no longer cling to the old mask can the true face reveal itself. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, not to hide the cracks, but to highlight them. The fracture becomes the masterpiece. That is how the universe works through us. The chosen are not saints. They are survivors of their own unraveling. They walk with the memory of pain but no longer carry its weight. They've discovered that damage is not a wound to close, but a doorway to widen. Through that doorway, life itself enters, breathing, speaking, creating through them. And here lies the paradox. The more you break, the more you belong to the whole. The more you surrender, the more you are guided. The chosen do not rise above the human condition. They fall deeper into it and find divinity waiting there. This is the secret the universe whispers through every fracture. You were never meant to remain intact. You were meant to break beautifully, so that something eternal could shine through the pieces. Conclusion: to be real is the miracle. In the end, all that breaking, all that trembling, all those nights when you thought it was over, they were never punishments. They were passages. The universe was not destroying you. It was shaping you into something it could use. The cracks you tried to hide have become the very channels through which light now moves. Alan Watts once said, "You are an aperture through which the universe looks at itself." To be broken, then, is to widen that aperture, to let more of life see through you. The goal was never perfection. The goal was participation, to become so honest, so real, that nothing stands between you and existence itself. Perfection isolates, authenticity connects. The ones who pretend to have it all together live in the prison of their own image. But those who admit their weakness become free, free to love, free to learn, free to be. That is the quiet freedom of the awakened man. Not that he is flawless, but that he no longer needs to be. So if you find yourself cracked, uncertain, undone, good. It means you are being prepared. You are being hollowed out so something greater can live through you. Don't rush to fix what was meant to open. The universe does not need your perfection. It needs your presence. It needs your truth. And perhaps that is the final revelation. You were never meant to be unbroken. You were meant to be real.